Welcome everybody. I'm going to be talking about the Swoobat buffs and changes. And before I address something like, for example, this type change, I want to have a quick disclaimer for anybody who is new here to check out the description below and look at all of the well, first off, you can look at all of the buffs and changes yourself below in the Google Sheet, which is the same sheet that I use in all my videos. But most importantly, there is this move guide here, and you can check out all of the move buffs and changes because every move is buffed or changed in some capacity in this hack for the most part. So definitely give those a look because those are really important. But with that being said, we got Swoobat. Yes, it is a fairy flying type now. This might be a little bit of a controversial type change to some people. First, there's the logical component of it, and there's the balancing component of it. Logically, it makes a lot of sense for Swoobat to be fairy type. It's the courting Pokemon. It's all about love. It has a heart-shaped nose. And if you read the Pokedex entries, it talks about, mood shifting and courting and all this stuff. So Psychic fits for sure, but so does Fairy. If anything, if Swoobat was introduced in Gen 6, I would bet money that it would have been a fairy type. I would bet money on that because, heart, love, like that's a very fairy type thing, in my opinion, at least. So that's the logic as to why it is fairy type. But there's a more important aspect, because I wouldn't have bothered changing it if it was just that, because people react negatively to changes like that sometimes, even if it does make a little bit more sense. The main reason I changed it is from a balancing point of view, because there are actually several psychic and flying types, but the only fairy and flying type was Togekiss and Togetic. So hold on, let me check them on my sheet. Flying, I have a little not a sheet, but I have a little note thing on the side that I have all of the Pokemon planned out a little bit roughly on there. Where is the second flying section? Here it is. So yeah, now it's only Sigilyph, Xatu, Oricorio, one of the Oricorio forms, Noctowl, and there might be one more I'm missing on there, but that's 4 even is plenty. Meanwhile, only one fairy flying. Not to mention Swoobat, if it was psychic flying, would overlap a lot with stuff like Oricorio and Sigilyph, because especially Sigilyph has like a fast special attacking psychic flying type. Xatu is a lot bulkier, and Oricorio changes forms, and Noctowl is a lot bulkier and has tinted lens and stuff, so I wouldn't be worried about them. But specifically Sigilyph and Swoobat, I would be worried about. So this is a lot more unique. Obviously it doesn't overlap with Togekiss in any regard, because Togekiss is relatively fast, but it's not as fast as Swoobat, and it's much bulkier and overall stronger without the ability Pixelate or Simple taken into consideration. So that's the logic, okay? With that out of the way, though, like I mentioned just now, they do have Pixelate just to complement the fairy typing. Otherwise, they would have been Aerolate. And the reason that I have that is because they get a lot of sound moves, or at least they should get a lot of sound moves, because if you read the Pokedex, and also if you just look at their design, they have those like sonar-looking ears. They're bats. They use echolocation. You read the Pokedex, it talks about it emits sound waves of various frequencies from its nose, including some powerful enough to destroy rocks. So with that logic there, I figured Boom Burst fits really well. Boom Burst is nerfed in this hack, one of the few moves that was given an outright nerf alongside stuff like Knockoff and Scald. Not major. Boom Burst is 125, Knockoff 60, Scald is 75. So those are still good moves, of course. But the main thing here is that Boom Burst, because not only do I have a lot more Boom Burst Pokemon, but also I want to encourage the use of moves like Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam being 160 base power and dropping your special attack stat by 2. So if Boom Burst was still 140 or whatever, it would just kind of be like a slightly weaker Hyper Beam with no drawbacks. So it's kind of not, it's not really balanced at all, especially if I give it to way more Pokemon. And there's a lot of Pokemon with boosting abilities plus Boom Burst and stuff, so it's just not it wouldn't be reasonable. 25 with 0 drawbacks is still incredible. And you have Hyper Voice and other stuff, so Commotion becomes 102 base power, and that always confuses. Hyper Voice is 114 base power with Pixelate now, and then Hyper Beam is 192 base power. That's incredibly powerful. That's a very strong nuke. And then you have Boom Burst, of course, it's like a spammable move, as well as Serenade. Serenade is pretty good. Serenade is 84 base power with Pixelate, and that will make the opponent drowsy, which is cool. And then Harmonize, it will drop both the opponent's attacking stats by 1. Same with Ominous Wind and Disarming Voice. Those are 2 other moves that they get that do that same effect. So those are both very good. Just for further early game, especially, it's nice to have like Swift as well. Swift becomes 66 base power plus 2 priority, as opposed to Pixie Dust's 45 base power plus 1 priority. So it is over 20 base power stronger than Pixie Dust. However, you do have to run Pixelate. So keep in mind, in this ROM hack, you do have access to infinite usability capsules, and I did balance every Pokemon's abilities so that you are switching between the abilities with those ability capsules. You are not keeping one ability and never running the other one. They're designed so that they essentially have 2 abilities that they can work between. And in this case, Pixelate and Simple both are very, very good. So you're going to be running Pixelate when you need that extra oomph with the fairy type moves. Otherwise, your strongest fairy moves are Dazzling Gleam, 80 base power, 1 in 4 chance to give you special attack. Moonblast is 100 base power, 95% accurate, which is kind of risky in my opinion. I wouldn't run that if I was in a Nuzlocke, unless I was running Wide Lens, like maybe Wide Lens, Moonblast, Aeroblast, Hurricane, or something, Focus Blast. You could run inaccurate moves then, but I would not risk missing, or Heat Wave, for example. And I wouldn't risk I mean, Heat Wave is a coverage move, so you might have to risk that missing sometimes for a specific fight, but even then you still have Mystical Fire, which is significantly weaker, 28 base power roughly, but it does have the chance, it does have that guaranteed attack and special attack drop. I forgot to mention it's another one that does that same thing, say with Ominous Wind and Harmonize and all that stuff. But yeah, it's just really strong. As for Simple though, so basically you're swapping between his abilities, right? So you're running Pixelate when you need that, and then you're running Simple for, of course, that boosting effect. So early game you'll have Work Up, which is nice. You'll get +2 special attack with that, and your 99 base speed. For early game it's pretty damn strong. Nothing too crazy. Stuff like, for example, Hala. You might be thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna sweep Hala. No, you won't. He has priority moves. He has Technician, Bullet Punch. You're gonna like knock off your Pokemon will live the hit. Like you can't sweep Hala, but you could definitely take out a couple Pokemon for sure. But it would probably be smarter to preserve your Swoobat, especially if you're doing a Nuzlocke. You wouldn't want to just sack it just to kill 3 Pokemon. You'd probably want to just switch it in and out and pivot it in on like a fighting move or something, because it does 4 times just fighting, which is nice. But yeah, another good thing about the Fairy Flying typing, it does give it that Dragon immunity, which is nice. It's a Dragon and Ground immunity, so you can switch it in pretty easily on a lot of moves. Dragon moves in general are much stronger in this hack, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, Simple. So after Work Up, then the next move you get is Simple's more of a later game move, or later game ability, excuse me. You have Charge Beam, which always gives you special attack, so that's pretty cool. It gives you +2 special attack each time you click it. That's pretty damn great. It's very great actually. And then you have Amnesia, which will give you +4 to death, and you can use that with Roost. You can also use Steel Wing. Steel Wing gives you +1 defense now. It's 60 base power, so you can use Steel Wing plus Amnesia plus Roost or something. Becomes super tanky, super quick. That's pretty cool. And then in the mid 40s, when you get the really good stuff, so you get Nasty Plot and Calm Mind as TMs, and you can use those. Calm Mind does have only 3 PP, but of course with Simple you can actually get to +6, one of the few Pokemon that can get to +6. And then Nasty Plot only has 1 PP, but you get +4 in 1 turn, which is very strong, with 114 base speed, and 107 special attack. And you also have a good Speed F stat now, so yes, you are still very frail physically, but that's kind of by design. It should have some type of weak point. For example, First Impression, which normally it would be neutral to First Impression as a Psychic Flying type. Now it is neutral. Sorry, now it is only 2 times resistant to First Impression, because Fairy no longer resists Bug in this hack, so you only 2 times resist First Impression. So a very strong Ruthless boosted First Impression will probably still one-shot you if you have no investment into your HP or defense. So you got to keep that in mind. For example, like a Pinsir or something is definitely going to one-shot you, I'd have to guess, with like a boosting item. Would totally just drop you anyways, despite the fact that you resist. Excuse me, God, despite the fact that you resisted. But yeah, otherwise you just have a lot of good coverage moves as well. You got Grass, Fire, Fighting, Ghost, Psychic, all kinds of really good coverage. And then you can also use Stored Power with Simple. That's really nice. Stored Power will give you +1 special attack, so it was Simple, it gives you +2 special attack each time you click it. And of course that increases in power with the more boost you have. You might be thinking in your head, what the hell, that's so overpowered if you are new here. Keep in mind it only has 3 PP now, so you can't sweep entire trainer fights with Stored Power alone, but I mean, getting 3 Pokemon down, for example, if you get a Nasty Plot or Calm, say you get 2 Calm Minds off, now you're at +8 overall, which become, right, +4 each, yeah, +8 overall, which would be 180 base power Stored Power. Can I do math? Yes. And then you get even stronger Stored Power after you click it once, and it's just a snowball. So even after 1 Call Bind, Stored Power is great, or Nasty Plot, either way. Yep, that's about it. It's just a very strong, fast Pokemon. That 114 base speed is very good, but keep in mind the speed tiers in this hack are a lot higher, and priority is very common in this hack. For example, priority Shockwave and stuff is a tutor, so you can definitely use that to handle Swoobat, as well as the fact that a boosted First Impression will probably still drop it. It does also resist Sucker Punch, so the Fairy Flying typing is actually a very good thing for it, because it now resists Sucker and First Impression, which are 2 of the most common, strong priority moves in the hack. However, Pokemon in general all learn priority moves by level up for the most part, so super effective Stab priority is still going to drop it, especially physical priority moves are going to drop it still. But yeah, you can see where it stacks up currently in speed tiers. Nothing as crazy as it used to be, which is for balancing reasons because of how strong he is with Simple and stuff, but he's still very fast. So yeah, that's all really fun. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you found this video entertaining and informative. There's a couple other things I could talk about, like every other little nitty-gritty move, buff, and change, but I trust you to check those out for yourself. Just make sure that if you did listen this far into the video, you are subscribed to the channel. You definitely should be if you haven't already. Lastly, I guess I can mention Synchronize is super cool with Pixelate. That becomes 144 base power, and that gives you a +1 special attack boost. However, that will only work against fairy or flying type Pokemon, so it is very situational, but it's very strong in those situations. So you can maybe teach it for a couple levels and then delete it later or whatever you want. Say you're add it to your party and you're fighting a trainer that happens to have a couple fairy or flying types, then you can teach Synchronize and go to town. Or you can use that with Simple even as a normal type move. You can +2 special attack, and still you only use it on fairy or flying types. So either way, it works. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you found this video informative and entertaining. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, link to all the stuff in the description. You can check it out for yourself. And I'll be back for more Unova Pokemon coming up. See y'all.